Microsoft have been kind enough to provide me with early access to Forza Motorsport. Now, this is a series that I've been a massive fan of since the beginning. I'm normally a big arcade racing fan, but I've always loved the Forza Motorsport games. Like, the Forza Horizon games are great, they're a lot of fun, they're very silly, but I've kind of liked the track-based stuff. I'm not a massive fan of open world racing. I much prefer having tracks that you can kind of become an expert on and sort of perfect every corner and all of that stuff. So I'm really excited that there's a new entry in it. Now, this video isn't sponsored or anything. Microsoft haven't asked to sort of see what I'm going to say about the game or asked me to say anything positive about it. I'm genuinely just having the best time with it. Now, coincidentally, just before I got the code for Forza Motorsport, Frostmaster were kind enough to send over their T248 steering wheel. So let's have a quick look at that. So this is the first serious steering wheel I've ever had, and it's completely changed the way I play driving games. It feels absolutely amazing. It has dynamic force feedback, which basically means as you're driving, it kind of fights against you sometimes, and that depends on what's going on in the game. So you can feel when you start losing grip, you can feel if you accidentally tap a curb or, you know, another racer or anything like that. It also has 25 action buttons, so you can control everything about the game just on the front of the steering wheel. It has magnetic gear shifting pedals that feel super satisfying to use and are super responsive. They have magnetic foot pedals, so you've got an accelerator, a brake, and a clutch. And these you can like modify, so if you want to change the springs or you want to put in some softeners, you can choose how much resistance you want when you're braking. This wheel has completely changed racing games for me. I'm obsessed with it. Massive thanks to Frostmaster for partnering with me on these racing games. So in this video, I wanted to take you through one of the events in Forza Motorsport, a little bit of the career. I'll show you how it all works because there's quite a few massive differences, and then we'll come back here and talk about the game afterwards. So when you start up the game, you'll get this kind of welcome center where it shows you some things that you could do, whether you want to do a track tour, whether you want to hop into multiplayer. You can have a look at the showroom, or you can do some like lap time stuff in Rivals, all kind of the stuff that you would expect. And then you've got this kind of slightly Spartan menu, but I really, really like this. I think, in essence, Forza Motorsport, this kind of reboot of the series, is focused a lot more on kind of people who are a little bit more serious about driving, maybe. So I think Forza Horizon is definitely the kind of the fun, silly one, you know, do what you want, do some fantasy stuff with cars. And this is much more about trying to get you into that mindset of getting the best times you can, driving as well as you possibly can. And I'll talk you through some of that as we get in. So the career is set up into sort of series, basically. You have lots of different series that you can choose to do. There's a featured one, you can see there I've completed a track day one, and then every week or so there's going to be new ones opening up. So you can see Built to Race opens up about when a game launches. And then if I go to Builders Cup, this is the main career. So all I've done in the game so far is the kind of tutorial. I've done the tutorial series, and this is the first sort of proper one. And as you do this, you know, if I complete this one, then I'll unlock one. I can go this way if I want to start doing sport cars, or I'll be able to go down to enthusiast and do track specials. Let's go back to the first one, which is going to be practical performance. So as soon as you load up into one of these series, you get a little video like this.
Modern high-performance hatchbacks have evolved into serious street and track weapons. Precise handling, amazing stopping power, instant turbo response. And yet they still retain their practical layout and substantial cargo space. Competitive manufacturers have consistently integrated cutting-edge engineering to produce a fast, controllable package enthusiasts reliably push to the limit. And with the vast upgrades available, drivers will strategize their builds to extract considerably more performance and fun.
So there we go. I'm going to take you through the first kind of race weekend of this first series, just to show you what the game lets you do. So the first thing you have to do in the new series is to choose an eligible car. So you'll see here, here's 9 of the cars that could be bought that are all eligible. You can see I already have a Golf R. And then you can also see the class and the kind of power level of it. So that's up to 488 already. But if I wanted to choose something else, if I wanted to do this in a Mini, I could do, or in a Ford Focus, whatever. But let's start with the Golf. You know, it's 2021 Golf, and I already have it, so I don't need to buy it, which is nice. I don't have to spend any of my credits. So now I've selected my car. This is the beginning of the series, and it shows the first event is at Laguna Seca. This is going to be my first time doing a race with the steering wheel, so this is going to be interesting doing Laguna Seca with that crazy downhill hairpin thing. But we'll see how it goes. And then it tells you there also the weather, like what it's going to be. So it's going to be a little bit cloudy. The race length, the limit of the cars, so how fast your cars can be, and the opponent difficulty. Now, obviously, you can change all of that if you want to. If you want to affect the difficulty, I can just press V on my keyboard. And then you can choose things like, at the moment, I do it with expert rules. So that means no rewinds, full penalties, simulated damage, all of that stuff. And then the driver tire difficulty as well. You can turn it up or turn it down. I've got it on 5 on faster at the moment. That was me playing with the controller, so it'll be interesting to see whether I can still win with that on. Have to say, I've so far found the AI for the races super good. Like, they're challenging, they don't feel like they cheat. They are sometimes a little bit crazy. They're sometimes super aggressive, like, especially if they go off the track, they'll come back on a lot more aggressively than you might expect. They have said kind of in the review guide that we got that is a known issue that might be toned down a little bit. Although it is kind of funny when someone just like barrels back on a track and goes through another 3 people. But yeah, that's how I've got it set up at the moment. We'll see how we get on in this race. So let's continue. And then it'll take us to this performance menu. Now, the way they do performance in this, I think, is really interesting. You can see in the top right that I'm currently in a C-Class car. The limit for this is B-Class, but if I go in with a C-Class car, the other cars I'm racing against will be C-Class. So you don't have to go up to B-Class until you're ready. And then you can also see in the top right that it says the available CP car points, I think that is. You get more of them by leveling the car up. So every car has a level, and then you get more of those points, and you can spend some of those points to select parts that you're installing on the car. And each part will have its own kind of cost. So you can see if I go to performance and I look at exhausts, I can put on a sport exhaust, and that's going to be 200 car points. I've only got 100, I've got 300 available actually, so I could put that on. The only thing is that that would push me up to a B-Class car, but the bottom of B-Class, which I don't really want at this point. I think I'm going to level this car up, save up a little bit in C, and then I'll be able to spend a bit more in B. Now, I really like this system. I think it's really clever because it means that you're not spending your money upgrading cars. You don't feel like, oh, you know, should I spend my money upgrading this car, or should I save it up to buy a better car, and then all of the upgrades that I've spent on this car are wasted. You don't have any of that problem, which I think is really, really good because I find out in a lot of other games. Instead, kind of as you're doing a series with one car, you upgrade it as much as you can, and you can constantly normally upgrade it because you're getting more points, you're leveling the car up as you're playing. And then when you start a new series, you can start out with a new car, or maybe you'll be able to use the same car for another series and you've already got it leveled up. I think it's really cool, and it does mean there's kind of a balancing act. You know, you're only going to have so many CP at any point. You need to choose where to spend them. Now, all of this stuff, if you find it like really intimidating looking at this and being like, oh, I don't know where I'd want to spend them, like I don't know the benefits of having an exhaust, you've got that diagram on the right hand side that shows the performance. And it's super handy because they say at the very beginning in the tutorials, you want to keep this fairly balanced. You don't want to like put all of it into speed because then obviously the car's going to be too powerful. It's not going to handle very well. You want to try and make it balanced. So you can see how each part is affecting it. You can see if I put on that much better exhaust, then the top speed's going to go up, the acceleration's going to go up, but the braking and the handling isn't. And right now, my braking and handling are a little bit lower than everything else. So maybe I would want to choose something that would affect those a little bit more. So all of these bits are just kind of braking and handling. I can't actually I can't choose my tires. I can't change the width of my tires until I get to car level 2, so I can't affect anything like that. But I could change the brakes, so I could do that, and that will help a little bit with the handling, help a little bit with the braking, and it won't actually affect my kind of car level too much. So once all of that's done, then you can finish the upgrades. It will tell you how your car's going to be affected by all of that. I can confirm, and that's all done. And then I can go on to the next part of the sort of race weekend. Now, if you want to put on some sort of tuning or setup, you can do. So you can tune individual things. You can do custom tuning. So you can change the tire pressure at the front or back. You can change the gearing if you have a gearbox that allows for custom gearing. And same thing, you know, you can choose whether you want to change the camber angle and things like that. if you have the parts that kind of allow you to do that. And similarly with the like with liveries and stuff like that, where you can download other people's if you want to, you can go to the setup manager and you can just press fine tune and you can have a look and see, okay, other things that other people have made. Now right now there's not that many because obviously the game's not out, not many people have done it, but over time this will increase and you'll be able to be like, oh okay, I want to pick this one, and if you've got the CP to apply it, it will automatically apply it to your car, which is very cool. And again, like the liveries, you can get all of the ones from previous more Forza Motorsport games, so you can choose to try and like sync your save files. And if you've got a particular car that you used in a previous Forza Motorsport and you decide, hey, I had that set up perfectly on that game, let's put it in this one, you can do that and it will just like swap all of that information over. Anyway, let's go to continue and carry on with the race weekend. So we're going to Laguna Seca. A little bit worried about how well I'm going to do on this race. I haven't driven on this track at all in this game. That's like crazy. I suppose it's like a hairpin then a chicane sort of thing, isn't it? It's really hard. If you can't tell, I'm not like a racing expert at all. I'm kind of like, I've always enjoyed the Forza games. I used to love Project Gotham Racing, that series a lot. I'm much more into kind of arcade racing than anything else. And so getting in something like this with a wheel and everything, this is all a bit new to me, a bit of an experience, bit of a noob to all this, but I'm enjoying it so far. So this is the first part of the weekend, and this is something that's quite different for Forza. You start off with a practice session. So before every race, you have a practice session and you can load into it. And basically you need to complete a certain number of laps on the track before the race. And you also need to, well, you don't need to, but you can, if you want, try to hit a target time to kind of get an idea of kind of what the pace is for this. Right, let's go. Now I might talk a little bit less with this as I learn how to get around this track. I'm already going off the track a little bit, but I'm okay. So this is Forza Motorsport. Now obviously one of the things that everyone's going to be asking for, oh my god, I went too slowly around there. One of the things that everyone's going to want to know is really how does it drive? And it feels amazing. And one of the things that I found very different, and bear in mind I'm used to playing these games in automatic and with a controller rather than a steering wheel, but one of the things that I found already, actually even using the controller, is that there's a lot more kind of effect from the verticality of the track. So the camber of the tracks, the kind of little hills that you come across as you're going around, all of that stuff seems to affect the car really noticeably in a way that I hadn't really thought about in other racing games. It isn't something that had really occurred to me. Now you might be able to see while I'm going around the track, in the top right, it's giving me a score for every corner. So every segment and every corner, you get a rating out of 10, and if you get more like points, a higher score for each segment, then you get more CP, so your car gets leveled up. I just put some wheels into the gravel there. You get more CP, and then that obviously means that then you'll be able to get more parts. So you kind of have a nice little thing to sort of keep you occupied, even if you're out front in a race, which, believe it or not, does happen to me very occasionally. This is the horrible bit in it. Oh god, I'm sliding all over. There we go. I'm guessing second gear down here. Laguna Seca is a really good track actually to show off that verticality I was talking about. That it's like going down that hill actually feels kind of crazy because you're dropping so far. Right, I'm getting a bit more used to driving this with the wheel. Luckily it's a bit of a slower car, so it's not too bad. And also getting used to the gears. It's crazy how much driving with manual gears changes racing games. Like, I've played so many racing games. Like, for so much of my life I've played racing games. Again, mostly arcadey games, but I have dabbled in slightly more serious ones. And I've always found it that, you know, you get to a point often where you're doing quite well at it and you get a little bit bored. Like, you know, you just get to that point where you're not really having to think that much as you go around the track. And just switching to manual has added so much to the game, where like there's so much to think about in every corner. And you can see there's little like certain segments of the track that I think the game realizes are kind of harder bits, where it'll actually come up at the bottom and tell you how fast you did it, and you can compare it to previous laps and things like that. Oh, I forgot to move up a gear. I mean, lots to think about. Right, I don't actually have time for another practice lap, which is kind of annoying because I was doing quite well in that one, I think, but oh, it's still a second. So let's go. Let's leave that. Let's leave practice behind. I didn't manage to hit the practice time, didn't manage to hit the par time, but now I can go into the race. Now, there's a lot of interesting things about the way the race works as well. That I'll show you what I mean. So when we go into the race, we can just press go to race, and then you can actually choose your grid position. So you can leave it at kind of the default, which I assume is meant to be where you've qualified, maybe. Or if you want to increase the difficulty of the race, you want to overtake more people, you can push it back so you can make it harder, and that means that you'll get more credits as a reward if you manage to succeed. Or if you want, you can push it up so you can start as far forward as third. You'll get less reward, but obviously it means it's much easier for you to try and complete it. I'm going to start in the middle of the pack, kind of where it put me, and yeah, we'll see how this goes. So here we go, Laguna Seca. It's 9 AM, 54.9 degrees. I'm sure if you're really into racing, then maybe the temperature and stuff like that would make more of a difference. We'll see. That's the guy who's at the beginning, and you can check every single car if you want to. You can have a look at who's on there, and you can also look at your fuel and tire, and I strongly suggest you do this, and you'll see why. You can see at the moment on the right it says fuel 12 laps, but the race is only 4 laps long. Now that obviously means you're heavier, your car's heavier, so I've been reducing that quite a lot. I'm going to reduce it to about 6 laps. Now the reason I'm not reducing it 4 laps is because I think that's if you're like driving perfectly. If you're like spot on, then you could make it round like that. I've actually run out of fuel before, so the engine starts slowing down a bit and then it just cuts out completely, which kind of sucks. You can also see on the right there that it says qualifying and pit stops. You can do some race series where you will have full qualifying, so you'll have the practice, then you'll have qualifying, which will determine your grid position, obviously. And then where it says pit stops, on the longer races, you will need pit stops. But that's really for the endurance races and stuff like that. Not the normal races. Right, let's go race. And we'll see how I manage to get on. See if I actually manage to finish the race or not. First time with a steering wheel on Forza. I don't think I was doing too badly. But, you know, this track is tricky. Right, here we go. You can see the dials on there and everything all work properly like they should. Right, here we go. Not a terrible start. A little bit, you can see there what I mean about the AI is a bit aggressive. Just a bit. Right, we're going to have to brake quite heavily here. Oh my god. Like I said, the AI, little bit aggressive. I've slowed down quite a lot so I can get in second gear and hopefully get some good acceleration and get out of that corner quite quickly. It kind of worked. He put his indicator on for a little bit there. Do people do that in races? He's actually using a livery. You can see there on the left it just said GP. That's actually a livery that I created. Apparently now he's using my livery, which I quite like that. GP for Geeky Pastimes. I was just messing around with the livery editor earlier. That's very cool. Alright, now it's another... This is another... slightly faster corner, I think. Someone hit the side of me, but it's okay. I didn't get a penalty for it, which is nice, because that would have been bloody cheeky if they'd tried to give me a penalty for something that definitely wasn't my fault. Oh, I went off a bit, but it's fine. They're like, no penalty, because I guess I didn't really gain anything from doing that. Now I've got the tricky bit. See how this goes in race. Oh no, I think... Okay, that might have been a penalty because I went off the track twice then. No, apparently it's fine. They understand. It's Laguna Seca. That is a tricky corner. They're just like, yeah, he's not very good at this. That's fine. Now the main thing with this is obviously, although I'm sure there'll be people making videos about this who are much more skilled at showing you how to accurately drive around Laguna Seca, the main thing is that the racing in this is just fun. Like, the AI seem to really react to you on the track. They seem to be, like I said, challenging. They also make mistakes, which makes it kind of fun. So, battling amongst a bunch of AI is super, super enjoyable. Right, I'm going quite slowly. And that purple car is coming up behind me quite fast. But I think we're okay. I think we're okay. I think we are actually gaining on the person in front here. A little bit. Maybe I lost time again because I was messing around with gears there and I don't think that did me any good. Now, for the people that are already frantically trying to write a comment explaining to me how to drive, please don't bother. The term backseat driver has never been more apt. I'm fine learning this stuff myself, having some fun, working it out. As you go through a game, as you go through a race series, you kind of learn how the... Oh god. You kind of learn how an individual car works, which I've enjoyed doing. So normally my first race in a car is a bit of a disaster, or my first race on a track. And then as you go on, the series, at least the two series that I've done so far, one of which was the starter one and one of which was one of the sort of featured live ones, have loads of different tracks on them. So they take you all over the world. They're very different. I'm sure there's probably some series that focus on a certain set of tracks. I think there's 20 tracks in the game, which seems pretty cool. Oh god. Oh god. I did go off then, and yeah, that's fair enough that I'm losing that place. I don't mind that. One thing I noticed as well when I was using someone else's tuning setup for the Civic that I was driving in earlier is that if you change the tuning setup, you can actually hear it in the engine. Like, the engine sounds different based on... Oh god, that might be a penalty because I rammed him. Nope, no penalty apparently. I mean, I dive bombed him in that corner. Maybe because I didn't overtake him. I'm not really sure there why I didn't get a penalty. I think that would have been fair enough. I'm losing a lot of grip for whatever reason. I don't know if it's me not paying as much attention or if it's something to do with, you know, losing fuel. But I am definitely not getting as much grip as I was. I mean, that wasn't that bad for that corner, actually. Oh, I say that, and then, oh, I'm off the track. Oh no, oh no, oh no. Okay, okay, okay. Okay. There's 24 cars, and I am now... You can check your mirrors, by the way, and I realise that I don't actually know the button for it. But there's 24 cars, I'm now 14th after starting in 11th. I got a segment score of 1 for that, which I think is fair enough, considering I went off the track after kind of talking about how well I was doing. It all went horribly wrong. But, you know, that's part of the story of this race for me, and, like, I was talking about it being fun. There's definitely been a problem with racing games over the last, like, I mean, really the last sort of 15, 20 years, where the difficulty always seems to be either way too easy, so you're out in front by miles, or it's way too difficult and like it feels like the AI is cheating. Oh my god, I'm all over the place. I don't know what I've done to this car. It looks like it's okay in the bottom, but I am not gripping the same way it felt like I was at the beginning. Yeah, and like, so it always seems like it's really impossible to set the difficulty right. And I've had that problem with Forza Horizon. It's just like, either I'm literally winning every race by, you know, 30 seconds, or I'm finding it impossible to overtake the cars, I'm finding it impossible to stay ahead. And in this, it's just kind of, I put it on 5 because I thought, well, you know, 5. Oh my god, I put it in first gear, I don't want to do that. Oh no, 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 no. I shouldn't be talking while I do that bit. There's someone coming up on my left, but I'm going to squeeze them out because I'm a terrible person. Okay. We're good. Yeah, like on this, I put the difficulty on 5, and I feel like that's okay for me. You know, it's like I'm struggling now, but as I learn, as I get used to the wheel, I'm sure I will improve with that. And when I was on controller, I started off like struggling to get third, and then after a few races, after I got used to the car, I was starting to like challenge for the first or 15th. That was upsetting. So that is Forza Motorsport. I will admit that I'm not the best racing driver, but I'm getting better, and the important thing is I'm having an absolute blast while doing it. The changes to the game are really kind of fundamental. I can understand why this isn't a numbered entry in the series. Like, it really does feel like it's geared up towards people who want to master driving, the people who want to really kind of get dug into the time trials and things like that and take it a little bit more seriously. But it also doesn't feel as kind of clinical and cold as maybe Gran Turismo does. Like, even the newest Gran Turismo to me just feels a little bit dull, maybe because I'm not passionately into cars in the real world and things like that. It doesn't do as much for me, whereas Forza just has enough kind of ways of hinting at progression and how you're improving and giving you lots and lots of control and choices of how you want to race and what challenges you want to have and stuff like that. I think it's awesome. And the actual handling model is just amazing. I think that's something that Forza's always been really good at. The way that you can sort of feel the weight of the car moving around and how, you know, slightly taller cars act very differently while they go over the crests of hills and when they go over the bumps at the side, the sort of curbs at the side of the track and stuff like that. It really does make a difference. Now, I'd say in terms of the way the game looks, Forza's kind of set a very high bar with Forza Motorsport 7, you know, a long time ago. The game looked amazing back then. And then since then, we've had a lot more Forza games, and especially with the Forza Horizon games, they've all looked phenomenal. This kind of just continues looking amazing. I've been impressed with some of the weather effects and stuff like that, especially the haze over the tracks, but I wouldn't go into this expecting like the best graphical showcase. It still looks like Forza, it still looks better than any other racing game, I would say, but really it's in the way that it plays that it feels differently. If you want to play Forza Motorsport for yourself, if you have the premium edition of it, it comes out on October 5th, which should be tomorrow if you're watching this video as soon as it comes out. Or you can play it on October 10th, just on Game Pass. So if you want to play it on Xbox or you want to play it on PC and you have Game Pass, you'll be able to play it at no extra cost from October 10th. It will also be available on Steam on that date. If you've got any questions about the game, leave them in the comments below and I'll do my best to answer them. But I've been having a great time with this game. Once I'm back from LA, once I'm back from COD Next, I'll be streaming a bunch of it. So if you want to see more content from this, please let me know in the comments. Thank you very much for watching and goodbye.